Using Edward Burrell Ford, Garvey found it necessary to have an anthem, not the United States anthem, not the British anthem, but the African people's anthem, Ethiopia, land of our fathers, land where the gods love to be. Garvey found it more necessary also. He was a devout Christian, but he realized that none of the Christian denominations within the United States or Great Britain or France or any of the other European colonial powers was sufficient to meet the needs of the African people. Thus Garvey created within his organization the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, which he changed quickly to the African Orthodox Church and set up an ex-Baptist minister, Terrell, to head that religion. Garvey knew it, knowing that Christianity by itself, as many people would have said, was a European religion, and people who say that do not know Christianity, because Christianity, Garvey stated and knew, came out of Alexandria, Egypt, from Pantius and Boetius. That Christianity had been in the continent of Africa, namely the nation of Tamiri or Kemet, which the Greeks call Egypticus and the British call Egypt. Of course, the Hebrews call it Mizraim, and the present Arab conquerors call it Mizraim, and there are a number of other names. But Garvey knew that that religion, Christianity there, and of course it got its name Christianity from 212 of the Common Era at a place called Antioch, when the people start using the Greek words Joshua Christus and Christos, which means to anoint. Joshua the anointed. Up until that conference, he was called the leader. That's all. Of course, Garvey, in reading about this, made notations that Christianity was nothing but a carryover of the worship of Heru, or Horus, the son of Aset and Asaru. Aset is commonly called by the Greeks Isis, Asaru equally by the Greeks Osiris. Garvey knew, and in his notation, he knew for some reason, although he had never been on the physical continent of Africa, that at the various temples, primarily because he noted them, the temple of Setaiwan at Abydos, and may I remind you, the temple of Setaiwan at Abydos was before anybody named Moses was born in Egypt according to the Torah. Again, Garvey knew that at Dendera, the temple of goddess Heru, which the Greeks called Hathor, there was a story, and still is, for anyone who wants to go and see it, of the immaculate conception of Aset and the virgin birth of a child. Thus it is that Garvey established and re-established what was being worshipped in Ethiopia, the black Madonna and child, which was also worshipped in Europe, all over Europe, exclusively until Michelangelo in 1509 painted for Pope Julius II the first white Madonna and child, Mary and Joseph. Of course, Garvey knew there was 16 such black Madonnas and child, Jesus being the last of the 16. Garvey understood the concept of the fundamental principle of a religion, its moral laws, and he upheld them and taught them to his followers of his movement, the Universal Negro Association and African Communities League. Garvey reminded his people, his followers, and they had to be African, that it was impossible to live without a moral code. And when others asked about adopting the 10 Commandments, Garvey said no, he was not going to adopt any second-hand set of laws. Garvey knew that the 10 Commandments was a joke, that there was no Moses that gave to the world any 10 Commandments, because we don't have Moses until the 18th dynasty, and that Moses wasn't born before 1346 before the Common Era. And Garvey spoke of what was known as the 42 admonitions of Maat, or commonly called the 42 negative confessions, which we can find in the book of the Coming Forth by Day, which Budge, the Englishman, changed to Book of the Dead. And if you want, you can find them in the Osirian drama of the Book of the Dead, the 42 laws, such as, Hail Maat, I have not killed man nor woman. Hail Maat, I have not stolen. Hail Maat, I have not coveted another man's wife. Now in the Jewish folklore, that attribute to a man just came yesterday. And whereas in this book it is 4100 BC, or 3,000 years before Moses. And Garvey knew that if Moses was in fact a reality, that Moses is said to have been born in Africa at a place called Goshen in a state called Egypt. And the last time I saw Egypt to back Garvey was 3 weeks ago, and it's in Africa. So the fundamental things about it, Garvey knew that he could move his people because his people was quite capable. He knew Garvey had in his collection a book in which dealt with the Papyrus of Hunefer, Hunefer. In the Papyrus of Hunefer states, quote, we came from the beginning of the Nile, where God happy dwelled, at the foothill of the mountain of the moon, unquote. That is a paper of an Egyptian writing, Hunefer, the high priest, where they came from, the Egyptians. And by the way, there is no Greece yet. There is no Rome yet. There is no Israel yet. There is no Abraham yet. There is no Allah. No Muhammad ibn Abdullah yet. No Confucius. When Hunefer is writing this, these are a group of Africans in the world that is writing that. I mean, Homer is not born yet, the first literary European. And Homer is not until 833. Homer is to write. You see, that's one thing about Garvey, and he had another man with him by the name of H. Hubert Harrison, who was his historian, who could bring him up to date, that remind him that the first literary work in all of Europe was Homer, Iliad, and the Odyssey, which state in the Odyssey, Homer speaking about the Ethiopians. He said what? Even the gods Zeus and Apollo, the first gods of Europe, came from Ethiopia. Right. So Garvey knew and read these things. Upon these things and others, he was to base his philosophy. More so, Garvey knew that the African was a technical African. It is equivalent to these days, he would be a multi-genius equivalent to one of them by the name of Imhotep, or combined Imhotep. Imhotep was the man that designed the step pyramid of Saqqara out of solid stone, no brick made of any material, much less mud and straw. The step pyramid of Saqqara is in the 3rd dynasty. Imhotep designed it and built it for the pharaoh Zeus, whom Herodotus later come and call Zeus. May I remind you that Abraham, the first of the Jews, wasn't born. You can't build a pyramid when you're not born. And of the 72 pyramids in Egypt, all was born before Abraham, all was built before Abraham was born at the 13th dynasty in the city or outside of the city of Ur in Chaldea, which later became an Egyptian Ethiopian colony by the name of Elam. You see, these are some of the things that we need in our classrooms. Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who started this with 1 week and got fired by a black college president at Howard University by the name of Malachi Johnson. Poor Malachi. Well, we can't blame the poor fella. He had no knowledge of himself. Carter G, the community protests make him rehire Carter G, and then he taught his first course in African studies, but he was not allowed to include it in the curriculum in a black university. There are other things, but we don't have time for that today. But Garvey, looking at all of these things, looking at medicine, and we were told that Hippocrates is the father of medicine. Well, that's not difficult because Benny Goodman is the king of swing. But nevertheless, Garvey had looked at the number of medical writings or medical papyri. Notably, let's take one of them right in the Brooklyn Museum, the Edward C. Smith Medical Papyrus for Surgery, and that's 1770 before the Common Era. Hippocrates wasn't born until 333. So this papyrus, this medical writing treatise, is 1400 years before the father of medicine. Garvey looking at these things, citing them, and writing individually in the world, in the Negro world. He would write a column on all kinds of different things. On economics, law, medicine, cited all of these things as he continued. You see, we only know Garvey for Back to Africa slogan, but we don't know the literary critic, the literary man Garvey. And that's the one we need to deal with a little. Garvey, examining this, dealt with medical writings like the Ebers Papyrus, a papyrus that deals during the time of Queen Hatshepsut, the first woman who acted as both king and queen. The first woman that, I think that if she was around, AIDS wouldn't have been too popular among, because she developed a suppository to insert into the vagina to stop pregnancy in 1555 before the Common Era. With all this knowledge then, and added to that the knowledge of Thutmose III, the son of the same Hatshepsut, who completed the expulsion of the first non-African people to have come into Egypt. With all that knowledge, Garvey then turned to examine, to establish not only the philosophical basis for his organization, but an economic concept that a man who amassed a fortune of more than $50,000, and you got to imagine the time in which he's speaking, in the 1920s, should not be added to that money, but should work from then on, and the money he makes should go for the benefit of his people. That the $50,000 should be an a maximum he can hold in any bank account. So in order that others would eat. So he called it civilized capitalism. Capitalism not in the sense of what Another African by the name of Alexander Hamilton